The air in the courtroom had the scent of polish and strain. Each noise seemed to resound, the rustle of papers, the creak of a chair, the muffled hum of journalists who had managed to get through the judge's warning. Christine Brown sat at the plaintiff's table, hands locked tight, knuckles pale. Kody sat opposite her, leaning back in forced composure, Robin's eyes shifting between them as if she could quell the storm with one glance. The clerk called the case, Christine Ruth Brown against Kody Wynn Brown, petition for primary custody. The words cut through the room like icy metal. After all those family meetings, cameras, and spiritual vows, it came down to this: an actual courtroom, an actual judge, and no TLC editing to make the edges pretty. Christine's lawyer whispered something, and she nodded slowly. Her chest rose and fell in rhythm with the ticking clock behind the bench. Every tick felt like another heartbeat spent in the same war she thought she'd already escaped. Kody's attorney smirked. Robin squeezed his hand beneath the table. To them, this was about control, not custody. Christine wasn't merely seeking custody of her daughter, she was asking to dismantle the kingdom Kody had constructed based on obedience and fear. Christine's voice shook as she delivered her opening statement. She didn't read from prepared notes. She didn't have to. "I'm not here to destroy him," she said, eyes glistening. "I'm here because our daughter deserves peace. She deserves to know that love doesn't come with conditions." Gasp waves ran through the gallery, not due to her statement, but due to how she uttered "our daughter." It was loaded with years of gulped pain. Even Mary, who sat behind the glass, looked down, covering her face with a tissue. Janelle sat next to her, wordless but resolute, a faint nod of encouragement flashing every now and then. Kody's attorney stood up. His voice was oily, practically scripted. "Your Honor, this isn't about peace. It's about power. My client feels that Ms. Brown is manipulating this custody battle to estrange their daughter from her dad." Kody nodded, but his eyes lied and said something else: guilt, or perhaps fear that Christine would say too much. When the judge told him to say something, his tone was abrupt. "She left us. She left the family, she left the principal. And now she wishes to take Truly away from me also." Christine didn't glance his way. She simply gazed at the picture of her daughter on the table, taped to a file folder like a quiet witness. On recess, Christine stood by the window that looked out at the city. It was raining, the sort of slow drizzle that makes time indistinct. Robin trailed behind her, heels clicking. "Christine," she said gently, "you don't have to do this. Kody's hurting." Christine turned, her eyes calm but stern. "So is Truly. But I don't see you fighting for her." For an instant, Robin's mask faltered. She seemed small, delicate, nearly lost. But then the door creaked open, and Kody spoke her name. She stiffened and turned away without saying another word. Inside, Christine's attorney started calling witnesses. The first was Janelle. "Mrs. Brown, based on your experience, who has been Truly's primary caregiver?" Janelle hesitated. Everyone knew the answer, but saying it in front of Kody was like touching fire. "Christine," she finally said. "Always Christine." Kody's jaw tightened. His lawyer objected, but the damage was done. Years of family life, surrounded by the smile-covered surface of a reality show, now unfolded as proof. Emails, messages, recordings, all revealing one thing: Kody had gradually distanced himself from his children as they had disobeyed his instructions. The tension mounted when the judge permitted a recorded scene from the previous show, a moment when Kody had dismissed Christine's alarm regarding Truly's health. The courtroom lights dimmed ever so slightly as the screen flashed. Kody's voice came back. "You're just being dramatic, Christine. She's fine." The clip stopped, and for 10 whole seconds no one breathed. Christine remained motionless, weeping silently. Kody attempted to say something, but his lawyer cut him off with a hand. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Brown, this court cares nothing about your fame, your show, or your family reputation. We care about the well-being of one child. Do you get it?" Kody nodded slowly, but his pride would not yield. When Christine returned to the stand, her voice was firmer. "I used to think that love could fix anything," she said, addressing the judge. "But love without respect is just control with a perfume." The courtroom fell silent once more, the type that hums, electric and alive. As the afternoon winded down, the judge decreed an interim custody order. Truly would remain with Christine until the final hearing in a month. It wasn't a win, not quite, but it was sufficient to cause Kody's mask to crack. He mumbled something under his breath, something about betrayal, and stormed off before the gavel even hit the bench. Journalists crowded the corridor. Christine did not slow. She strode right through them, head held high, rain continuing to fall outside the courthouse doors. Behind her, Janelle trailed quietly, clutching Christine's coat. Mary lingered in the background, unsure whose side she was on anymore. As Christine walked into the parking lot, her attorney inquired about how she felt. "Tired," she replied. "But lighter." She glanced up at the sky, and for the first time in years, it did not seem to be suffocating her. That evening, Kody sat alone in his vehicle outside Robin's residence. He recited the judge's words over and over in his mind, holding the steering wheel so hard that his knuckles became white. Robin messaged him from within, "Come inside. You need some rest." But he didn't budge. He simply gazed at the rain, questioning if he'd lost custody of more than just his daughter that day. While Christine was preparing truly for bed, the young girl asked, "Mom, is Daddy angry?" Christine paused, sweeping a lock of hair from her daughter's face. "No, sweetie," she whispered. "He's learning how to listen." And as Truly slept, Christine at last permitted herself to weep, quietly, freely, not dreading cameras or criticism. With dawn, the internet blew up. Everywhere headlines: Kody Brown faces custody crisis, Christine breaks her silence in court. The world was once again watching, but this time there was no script. Christine made her coffee, opened her phone, and read a new text from an unfamiliar number. It said, "You don't know the whole truth about Kody. Meet me before the next hearing." She looked at the message, her hand shaking. The name below the message brought her up short. It was Mary. Christine couldn't sleep that night. Mary's text replayed in her mind like an echo she couldn't escape. "You don't know the whole truth about Kody." It wasn't the words themselves that scared her, it was the thought that after all these years, after all the tears, there was still something left to uncover. By morning, the storm had let up, and streaks creased across the kitchen window. She sat there for what felt like hours, looking at her phone, before responding. What truth? The typing dots flickered, then vanished. Then flickered again. And finally, a message was received: "Meet me at the diner off Redwood Road. Noon. Come alone." Christine's stomach twisted. She hadn't seen Mary in months, not since she walked out of Flagstaff for good. Their last conversation had ended with slammed doors and silence. But something in Mary's tone, the urgency of it, told her this wasn't just guilt or gossip. She stuck her phone in her purse, took her keys, and departed without announcement. The diner was all but deserted when Christine pulled in. A waitress refilled a cup of coffee in the back of the counter, humming softly. Mary had her sunglasses on even though it was dim inside. When she raised her head, her eyes were red, not from tears, but from something more profound, older. "Thanks for coming," Mary spoke softly. Christine slid into the booth, her voice steady. "You said you had something I needed to know." Mary nodded, then hesitated. "You're battling the wrong war, Christine." Christine frowned. "Excuse me? You think Kody's just battling for Truly. But this custody case, it's hiding something more. Something having to do with money." Christine leaned forward, every wire in her body on high alert. "What kind of money?" "Family accounts," Mary whispered. "The ones we spent for years, the show money, investments, property ownership." "I found records, Christine. Kody's been transferring money under Robin's name for months prior to you leaving." Christine's breath stuck in her throat. She wished to think Mary was bitter, confused, wrong, but she knew better. Things began falling into place: the abrupt budget problems, the disappeared savings, the explanations Kody provided for production payment delays. Mary pushed a little USB drive over the table. "It's all here. Emails, transfers, even messages between the accountant and Kody. If the court gets this, everything is changed." Christine gazed at the drive as if it were a hot wire. "Why are you giving this to me?" Mary smiled with bitterness. "Because I'm done keeping quiet. We all believed loyalty would be our savior. It only kept him safe." Christine made her way home in a haze, the USB still clutched in her fingers. Memories flooded back: Kody's promises, Robin's reassurances, all the times she'd been told family comes first. Family? Whose family? That evening, she inserted the drive into her laptop. File after file opened: bank records, court letters, letters of correspondence. There it was: money transferred to Robin's account, secret property purchases, even notes on transferring assets prior to Christine filing for custody. Her heart thudded. This wasn't merely a legal subterfuge. It was planned. Kody had been preparing for this moment long before she ever made up her mind to leave. The next morning, Christine called her lawyer, her voice trembling with controlled fury. "We need to amend the case," she said. "There's more at stake than custody now. We're dealing with fraud." When she hung up, her hands trembled. She didn't know if she just rescued her daughter's future or initiated war. Across town, Kody and Robin sat in their living room, blinds closed. Kody paced as Robin attempted to soothe him. "She's after me," he declared, his voice escalating. "She's playing the system against me, Robin." Robin placed a gentle hand out. "Kody, please, you invited all of this." "Perhaps if you don't," he barked, his finger jabbing at her. "Don't pretend to be innocent here." The air was electric between them. Robin's eyes welled with tears, but she didn't say a word. Somewhere deep within her, she knew Christine wasn't the only one who had evidence. Mary had confided in her too. And if Christine had those files, everything would come apart. Robin's phone rang, a text from an unknown caller. In court the next week, the atmosphere was tense. Christine sat next to her lawyer, her heart racing. The new motion had been filed, and now the case expanded: custody and financial misconduct. Kody's lawyer appeared stunned. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Brown," he said firmly, "these are serious accusations. If true, they would impact both custody and financial decisions." Kody's facade broke for the first time. "This is absurd," he snapped. "She's being manipulated." Christine didn't move. She simply gazed at him, serene, still, unblinking. For once, the balance of power had been reversed. The judge ordered a 5-minute recess, but the whispering in the courtroom did not cease. Reporters hushed, cameras flashed, and in the back, Mary silently observed. When the hearing resumed, Christine's attorney presented the USB to the clerk. "Your Honor, this is evidence of undisclosed money transfers received by Mr. Brown's fourth wife during the time period in question." The judge looked at the evidence. This will need to be investigated. Christine breathed slowly, her shoulders trembling. She'd done it. The truth was out, and this time, there was no going back. Later that night, outside the courthouse, Kody cornered Mary outside her car. His tone was low, threatening. "You did this, didn't you?" Mary didn't blink. "You did this to yourself. You think you're better than me?" he snarled. "You all lived off me. Off what I built." Mary walked closer. "We built this together. You just forgot what family was when it no longer benefited you." He glared at her for a moment before slamming his fist against the car door and walking away. Mary stood there, shaken but not broken. For the first time in years, she wasn't afraid. She felt free. Meanwhile, Christine drove home in silence. The streetlights flickered across her windshield. The courthouse was behind her, but the battle had only grown bigger. She looked at a photo of Truly on her dashboard and whispered, "We're almost there, baby." Almost. Her phone buzzed again, a new message, no name. "He's not done yet. Watch your back." Christine's hands clamped harder on the steering wheel. The city lights ran together as she took the turn for home. Because she knew, deep down, Kody Brown wasn't the sort of man who lost quietly. That evening, in a black room somewhere in Flagstaff, Kody placed a call. His voice was hard, unfaltering. "I need a new attorney," he told her. "And I want everything on Christine, every file, every record, every secret she's ever kept." He slammed down the receiver, gazing at a photo of his family during better times. His reflection in the glass bore no resemblance to the man he once was. As thunder boomed outside, Kody muttered to himself, "You want war, Christine? You've got it." The tempest raging outside became thunderous, lightning illuminating the window, as if the heavens themselves were getting ready for what lay ahead. The courthouse seemed different that morning, harder, colder, as if it could sense what was approaching. Reporters stood outside as the next hearing started. The world wasn't merely watching anymore, it was picking sides. Within, Christine occupied the plaintiff's table, calm but reserved. She had become accustomed to the whispers, the flash of cameras, the constant commentary on the internet. But what she wasn't prepared for was Kody's new strategy. He came into the courtroom with a new attorney, younger, tighter, and lethal. The man oozed confidence long before he opened his mouth. Kody trailed behind him, chin held high, face serene but eyes blazing. Christine's attorney leaned forward. "He's going to go personal today. Be prepared." She nodded deliberately. Ready. She believed she was ready for anything, until Kody's attorney rose to his feet and started talking. "Your Honor," he started smoothly, "although my client is denying the money claims, we feel that this whole case is being propelled by emotional instability. We will show that Ms. Brown has been manipulating not just this court but her own daughter, by fear and resentment." Gasps spread throughout the room. Christine's heart stopped beating. "In addition," he went on, "we have evidence to suggest that Ms. Brown has been publicly slandered Mr. Brown on social media and through private internet forums. We will be filing these records shortly." Kody refused to look at her. He didn't have to. His silence was enough. Christine's throat constricted. She'd never shared anything hurtful, just little moments of truth, photos with Truly, wordless posts about healing, hope, and freedom. But now they were being used against her. The attorney displayed screenshots on the giant screen, healing from control, rebuilding without fear. Plain headings, but coupled with Kody's name and pictures, they were weapons. "Your Honor," Christine's attorney objected, "these are not attacks. They're personal thoughts." But the new attorney smiled weakly. Perception, Your Honor, can create reality, particularly for a child exposed to public drama. Christine's hands shook underneath the table. She felt the walls coming in on her, not because she'd been bad, but because Kody had a talent for making love turn into guilt. When the recess bell clanged, she fled out into the hallway, gasping. Flashing cameras came through the glass doors. Mary caught up to her at the vending machine. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Christine forced a tiny smile. "He's fighting dirty." "He always does," Mary whispered. "But keep in mind, truth doesn't panic." That night, Christine spent it alone in her car on the way home. The lights of the courthouse were behind her, chilly and far away. Her phone rang, a voicemail call from an unknown number. She pressed play, and Kody's voice filled the room. "Christine," he told her, his voice steady but with venom, "you imagine you have me in a corner. You don't. You're dealing with something that you don't even realize is standing behind you. Ask yourself why Mary cares about this suddenly. Ask what she's hiding." The message was over. Christine looked at the phone, her pulse pounding in her ears. Mentioning Mary was not an accident, intended to sow suspicion, to break the tenuous bond she'd forged. At home, she phoned Janelle. "I believe Kody's going to pull Mary down with him." Janelle let out a sigh. "He'll pull anyone if it means he remains in charge." They talked for close to an hour, attempting to strategize their next move, not knowing that someone was already spoon-feeding the media, leaked snapshots, half-truths, and manipulated stories. By midnight, Christine's name was trending once more, but not as she had hoped. The following hearing kicked off with a shock. Kody's attorney summoned Robin to testify. The court was abuzz when she took the oath. Christine tensed. This was going to sting. "Mrs. Brown," the attorney started, "how would you characterize Ms. Christine Brown's relationship with her daughter since the breakup?" Robin paused. "They're close. But too close at times." Truly parrots things that sound like Christine's views, not hers. Christine's jaw clenched. "That is not true," she muttered under her breath. The attorney continued. "Did Ms. Brown ever badmouth Mr. Brown in your presence?" Robin glanced at Kody, then at the floor. "Once," she confessed. "She said he was unpredictable." A hush ran through the gallery. Christine's attorney protested, but the judge permitted it. Christine's chest flushed. After all of it, all the nights she'd comforted Robin, all the times she'd stood up for her on the show, this betrayal hurt the most. Robin's eyes met hers for an instant, filled with remorse, but it came too late. The harm was already done. Over lunch recess, Mary confronted Christine once more. "I saw what went down," she whispered. "He's making everyone hate you." Christine let out a sharp breath. "And you're sure the documents you handed me are clean?" Mary nodded. "I checked twice. Everything's authentic." "Why?" Christine paused. "Because Kody just informed me that you're keeping something under wraps." Mary stiffened. Fear came for the first time into her eyes. "What did he say?" "That you were included in the transfers, that you signed something years ago." Mary's face turned white. "Christine, please listen to me. I didn't know what those documents were. He told me they were for tax returns." "I swear." Christine learned from her. She wanted to believe her. But manipulation had created cracks between them all that nobody could see, and now each of those cracks was beginning to yawn open. That evening, Christine couldn't sleep once more. She sat beside the window, reading messages from strangers, some urging her on, others labeling her bitter. She knew none of them got it. This wasn't about revenge. It was about peace, and peace comes at a price. Her attorney phoned the following morning. Christine, we received word the financial investigation is proceeding. But Kody made a counterclaim. He's charging you with parental alienation. Her chest constricted. He's attempting to turn it around. Yes. And he has Robin's testimony on the record now. Christine hung up and gazed at the floor. The battle was no longer about truth, it was about stamina. Meanwhile, elsewhere in town, Kody sat down with his attorney and Robin. We're going to make her crack, Kody explained. She wants to appear like a saint, let's let everyone know who she is. Robin nibbled on her lip. Kody, this isn't assisting truly. This is assisting me, he snapped. And when I do win, she'll see that walking away was her greatest mistake. Robin did not respond. For the first time, she beheld the man everyone talked about, not the leader, not the husband, but the destroyer. As the week came to a close, Christine's attorney summoned her into his office. The judge wants both of you for a private conference prior to the next session, he stated. Christine's heart began to beat faster. Private conferences indicated significant developments. When she arrived in the judge's chambers, Kody was already seated, arms crossed. The judge addressed them sternly, both of you are making this into a circus. I'm offering you a final opportunity to mediate before I take complete control of custody arrangements. Kody leaned forward. I'll mediate if she apologizes. Christine looked at him, incredulous. Apologize? For standing up for my daughter? For alienating her from her father, he snapped back. The judge raised his hand. Enough. But Kody didn't stop. You made your choice, Christine. Now you're going to live with it. Christine rose slowly, tears burning in her eyes. I already am. She walked out, slamming the door behind her, leaving Kody and the judge in silence. Outside, reporters swarmed again, shouting questions. She ignored them all. Her phone buzzed once more, a new message, no name, him is not working alone. One of your insiders is supplying him. Christine caught her breath. Her insiders were minimal, merely Janelle and Mary. So who was it? Morning was dense and gray, as if the sky itself had sensed something was about to shatter. Christine sat on her porch, coffee gone cold next to her. Her phone in her lap, that anonymous message glaring back at her. He's not acting solo. Somebody in your inner circle is providing him with information. Her inner circle was small. Janelle. Mary. Her attorney. She wanted to believe that it wasn't them. She needed to. But experience had taught her, betrayal never comes from strangers. She was interrupted by the rumble of tires on gravel. Janelle's car arrived. She got out, a look of concern on her face. You okay? Christine smiled tightly. Trying to be. Janelle nodded, sitting next to her. It's getting uglier by the day. You know he's leaking things to the tabloids again, right? Christine sighed. Yeah. And someone's assisting him. Janelle furrowed her brow. Who? I don't know yet. But she could see the question in Janelle's eyes. Do you think it's me? Christine didn't respond. That afternoon, Christine's lawyer summoned her into the office. His tone was brusque. Christine, I just received a copy of a confidential motion that Kody submitted this morning, including attachments from your private emails. Her stomach plummeted. Private emails? Where? They were part of our strategy for the case, he growled. Only someone with close access to you could have shared them. Christine's thoughts whirled. There were only two people she'd ever emailed those to, Mary and Janelle. Mary had handed it to her. Janelle had sorted out the files. It wasn't Janelle. It wasn't. Her lawyer took a deep breath. I'll discover how far this reaches. But Christine, watch what you say to whom. That evening, she sat in the dark, gazing at her laptop. Old photographs glowed on the screen, birthdays, family meals, forced smiles. She lingered on one photo, all of them together, when sister wives meant something other than suffering. She murmured to herself, how did it come to this? The day after in court, Kody seemed too serene. Too self-assured. Christine sensed it at once, that creepy quiet before a storm. With proceedings underway, Kody's attorney rose. Your Honor, we've recently received evidence indicating Ms. Brown's attorneys have willfully withheld records of communications pertinent to the case. Christine's heart fell. Her attorney spun, wide-eyed. That's a lie. The attorney sneered. Is your explanation for these going to be something we want to hear? He handed the clerk a folder, Christine's private emails, printed, highlighted, and dated. Emails about financial evidence. Strategies to confront Kody. Even one where she said she was scared of what he'd do. The courtroom burst into whispers. Christine paled. Kody's attorney went on, it seems Ms. Brown has been consorting with other members of the family to discredit my client. This is not about custody, it's about revenge. Christine rose, shaking. Those were personal discussions. You took them. The judge rapped the gavel. Ms. Brown, sit down. But Christine couldn't. Her voice cracked. He's manipulating everything. Do you think I wanted any of this? The judge declared a recess. Christine stormed out, heart racing, head reeling. Mary trailed behind her into the hallway, eyes wide with panic. I didn't give him those, Christine, I swear, she exclaimed. Christine turned on her. Then how did he get them, Mary? Tell me how. Mary's hands shook. I don't know. Maybe my laptop, maybe someone got into my email, or maybe, Christine said coldly, you were never really on my side. Mary's face crumpled. That's not fair. Neither is betrayal. Christine turned and walked away, leaving Mary weeping against the wall. Later that night, Christine sat in her car, staring blankly out the windshield. Her phone vibrated again. You wanted truth. Now you have it. No name. No number. Just those words. Her breathing sped up. She called Janelle, frantic. Someone's playing us. Mary claimed she didn't spill anything, but Kody has everything. Janelle's voice was quiet, too quiet. Christine, perhaps we should step back on the money. Just concentrate on truly. Don't make this worse. Christine scowled. Step back? You're kidding. You want me to walk away now? Janelle hesitated. I just think you're making it impossible to win. Christine stiffened. That tone. That wording. It was the exact same words Kody had used months prior when she left him. You're making it impossible to win. Her voice dropped low. Janelle, did you speak with him? Nothing. Janelle? A sigh. He called me, okay? He wanted to make up. I thought that if I just, Christine shut her eyes, her heart shattering. You gave him the emails. I didn't mean to. He told me he needed to know what was being said about him. I didn't think he'd. Christine hung up before she could get the words out. The world around her grew dark. Her pulse pounded in her ears. The morning after, the news had the story: Janelle Brown confirms talks with Kody amid custody battle. Christine didn't leave the house. She couldn't. Messages poured in: anger, sympathy, gossip. It didn't matter. All she could think of was Janelle's face, the sister she trusted above all others. Late that evening, there was a knock on her door. It was Janelle. Red-rimmed eyes, shaking shoulders. "I didn't mean this to happen," she whispered. "I was trying to make things not get any worse." Christine moved aside wordlessly. Janelle sat, tears running down her face. "He said he'd leave me alone if I complied." "He lied, Christine." "I promise." Christine's voice broke. "You should have known he'd lie." Janelle nodded, crying. "I know. And I'm sorry." They sat in silence for hours. Then Christine said softly, "You broke me, Janelle. Not because you spoke to him, but because you thought he was still worth believing." The day after in court, Kody seemed triumphant. Christine hardly spoke at all. Her lawyer tried his best, but the harm was evident. Public sympathy was waning. When it was her turn to present her case, Christine breathed deep. "I did wrong," she said quietly. "I trusted individuals I shouldn't have. But I did it because I thought love was stronger than manipulation. I thought family was worth fighting for. I still think that." Her words shook, but she didn't relent. "This is about money or vengeance. This is about a child who needs peace. That's all I've ever wanted." The courtroom went quiet. Even Kody looked uncomfortable. For the first time, he realized her pain wasn't a ruse. It was genuine, raw, unbroken. The judge nodded slowly. "We will adjourn next week with final recommendations." As Christine descended from the stand, the judge spoke up, "And Ms. Brown, I respect your bravery." That evening, Christine drove home beneath a scarlet sunset. The world beyond was peaceful once more, but within her heart, there remained a tempest. She had no idea what happened next, only that she couldn't quit now. Not now, after all. Home, a small white envelope sat on her doorstep. No name, no address. And inside, a single photograph: Kody and Robin, standing outside the doors of a lawyer's building, with papers in their hands. On the reverse side was a handwritten message: "They're plotting something prior to the final hearing." Christine gazed at it, her heart racing. She switched off the porch light and locked the door, saying to herself, "Not this time, Kody. Not this time." The courthouse loomed under a gray October sky, its stone steps reflecting rain. Cameras banked up to the entrance, reporters shouting out Christine's name as she ascended those steps for the final time. Her hands shook slightly, not with fear, but with the burden of all that had brought her here. It was thick inside. Everyone had the feeling that something huge was going to go down. Kody sat across the room with Robin, his protective arm over her shoulders. His smug, almost rote expression told them he thought he already had it won. Christine sat down, not meeting his eye. Her attorney leaned forward to whisper, "We got the financial documents verified last night. It's rock solid. But if we handle this wrong, it can still blow up in our faces." Christine nodded. "Then we play it right." The judge came in. All the people stood. Once, the gavel crashed, sharp, ringing in the room. This court is now in session for the final hearing of Brown versus Brown. The hearing opened with Kody's attorney. He was suave, assured, the sort of man who employed words as weapons. Your Honor, he started, my client has suffered months of public shame and unfounded accusations. Ms. Brown's case is constructed not on fact, but on grievance. This isn't justice, it's vengeance. Christine remained motionless, her jaw clenched. She did not blink. Ever. The attorney went on, we have proof that Ms. Brown conspired with the media, lied about her financial situation, and actively withheld critical documents that might have cleared Mr. Brown. He smiled brightly, then dramatically swiveled towards Christine. Tell me, Ms. Brown, how much did you earn on those interviews last month? Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Christine's attorney leapt to his feet. Objection. Relevance. Sustained, replied the judge. Kody's lawyer shrugged, feigning innocence. Just trying to establish character. Christine's lawyer stood up next, calm but with an inner fire. Your Honor, my client has been portrayed as bitter, manipulative, even vengeful. But this case isn't about image. It's about truth. He strode over to the evidence screen and rapped on the projector. A series of bank statements flashed on the screen, Robin's accounts, Kody's joint ventures, and hidden transfers from family funds. These, he said, gesturing, are withdrawals under a joint family trust, a trust to which, by law, Ms. Brown was still entitled as Kody Brown's lawful spouse at the time. These funds were expended without her permission. Kody shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Robin's face tightened. The attorney continued, Your Honor, my client is not seeking money. She's seeking accountability. For years, she was told to keep quiet, be the docile wife, sacrifice for the greater good. But silence does not mean consent, and loyalty should not be met with betrayal. Christine dropped her head, tears close to falling. But she restrained them. Not here. Not in front of him. Kody stood abruptly. This is absurd, he barked. She's twisting everything around. That money was for the family, for our kids. Christine finally looked him in the eye. Then why was it only your name on the account, Kody? Why did you transfer everything just before I filed? He froze. The judge turned sharply. Mr. Brown, you'll have your chance to respond. Sit down. The tension in the room thickened like fog. Robin whispered something in Kody's ear, but he shook her off. He was unraveling. Christine's lawyer called his final witness, a forensic accountant. According to the records, the man replied, these transfers were deliberately concealed. Somebody obviously did not want Ms. Brown to get their hands on what belonged to her. Kody's attorney attempted to object, but the judge brushed him aside. Overruled. For the first time, Christine noticed it, the flash of fear behind Kody's glare. The mask was beginning to slip. Her attorney nodded to her. Christine, it's time. She rose, making her way to the stand. Her hands shook a little as she took the oath. The voice of the lawyer softened. Christine, after all this, what do you want from this court? Christine gazed at Kody. Her voice was firm. I do not desire his money. I do not desire revenge. I simply desire peace for my child. I desire that she know her mother stood for something, that she didn't let fear or love blind her. The courtroom became quiet once more. Every camera, every individual, was on her. She breathed deeply. I loved him. God knows I did. But love isn't about losing yourself. It's about knowing when to stop letting someone hurt you. Kody's attorney started his cross-examination, but his questions stumbled. Christine's serenity unsettled him. He asked, do you regret leaving your family? Christine smiled sorrowfully. I regret believing it was ever mine. Gasps ran through the courtroom. Even the judge hesitated. Kody's fists clenched, his knuckles white. He muttered, "You'll regret this." Christine looked straight at him. "I already did. That's why I'm here." Her words hung in the air like a final blow. The judge called a recess before the verdict. Christine stepped outside, the rain just beginning to fall again. She stood under the courthouse awning, watching the drops hit the steps where it all began. Mary came up beside her quietly. "You did it," she whispered. Christine shook her head. "Not yet." Mary offered a small smile. "No, but you will." Inside, everyone sat down. The tone of the judge was serious. "I have gone over the evidence, the testimony, and the financial reports. It's evident that marital money was spent improperly and that there were efforts to keep this from being revealed to the court. Although the case started as a custody dispute, it has uncovered much more serious issues of trust and manipulation." He gazed straight at Kody. "Mr. Brown, this court determines that your financial behavior was dishonest. Custody of Truly will still be with Ms. Brown. In addition, restitution for the abused trust funds is ordered herein." Christine let out a gentle gasp. The sound was like freedom. Kody leaned back in stunned silence. Robin turned away, sobs running down her face. The gavel came down. Court is adjourned. Christine stood stiff, and then she smiled, small, but genuine. She headed toward the door, avoiding Kody with no word. He grumbled, "You win?" She stopped, glancing back at him. "No, Kody. I think I healed." Rain had ended outside. Reporters thronged, microphones flashing. Christine answered no questions. She simply raised her face to the light that was breaking through the clouds. Her phone vibrated, a text from Janelle, "Proud of you. Finally free." Christine responded, "We all are now." She glanced back up at the courthouse one last time, then softly breathed, "It's over." But inside, she knew it wasn't really the end. Healing wasn't something that came with a finish line, it was a journey. And for the first time in years, she was walking it alone.